the Hunter x Hunter Nenpact demo has
Is that what we're
just
calling it?
it's a feature in the game. Nenpact is the name of the system, actually.
Okay.
So I'm going with Nenpact according to what Aiding has decided. The Hunter x Hunter fighting game put a demo out on Steam, and you can go play it. And this is super funny because originally this game was going to be out a lot sooner, but it got delayed because they're adding rollback. Good.
Right.
Great.
Good. Excellent.
But the team definitely intended for it to be in people's hands a lot sooner. And as it's coming out in about a month or two, the idea of waiting too late for people to get hands on it is bad for marketing. So they released the demo with a tutorial, a single player mode preview, and labbing, but no online in the demo, which is really, really wild.
Was a full training mode?
The Nen Impact has a full training mode, and you can play local versus up to with 6 characters, but you don't play online in the demo for this fighting game.
That's really funny.
Very funny, right? I'm like, all right, so the rollback ain't done yet, and they don't want to show it off bad. You don't want to give a bad impression.
That's fair.
Get it out of the game, but people have to start playing it though. Okay, well, then give them a lab. So yeah, I mean, you can just have your own local little fucking skirmishes and so on. That it is what it is. Also hilarious is that the tutorial, there's a story mode and there's also tutorials, and the way that all comes together is it's just screenshots of the anime, right? So
Okay.
You start the tutorial for the mechanics, and you're getting blasted with spoilers from future arcs immediately.
Great.
And I'm like, God damn it, can I just learn how the mechanics work without finding out?
No, you can't.
About
because
fucking
the
Green
mechanics
Island?
are spoilers. Dude, Nan
Yeah.
happens
You-
like
you're way
5
late.
arcs in.
There's nothing
Like,
you can do. There's nothing you can do. Right. It is what it is. And you know what? You're playing a Dragon Ball game. You're gonna see some colors, and they mean what they mean. But it's just funny that, like, if you go into a particular story mode or whatever, like quests, and you could get hit with like recreations of story moments in any fighting game, you're like, of course, that's what that's for. But this tutorial to learn how to play is showing you scenes from far into the series.
Here's what happened. I have a direct 1-to-1 explanation of what's happening here. The game's called Nen Impact, and everybody uses their magic Nen moves. This is the equivalent of you playing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Stand Battle, and you start up and they start explaining to you what stands are, and you're like, I'm only halfway through part 1. No, you can't. No, stand shit.
It's not that part. For me, the part I'm trying to emphasize here is that the tutorial goes hard into just like screenshots of the anime. That's it.
Punch Ghost. What the fuck is that?
It's as opposed to the the breakdown, and then the context is fucking whatever Dio and Jotaro staring at each other. If you go in, it's the mode that I find that hilarious to do that in, right? Also, tutorials in general don't have story segments in them. Like
That's true.
It's weird to have 2 story segments in that mode. That aside, gameplay is 3v3. It is Marvel style. It is fast. It is got assists and all that stuff. And I find it feels weird. I'm not super duper hooked on the way it feels. And
I'm watching Jam play right now. I'm not.
It's definitely like dividing people, because some people really love it, and I've seen people talking about how it's great for their old man reflexes, because you float so slowly when you get launched up in the game, and so much of it has like the moment you like it's very fast and chaotic. Like it's fast and chaotic when you're point blank mixing each other up and stuff, but jumping around and like landing hits, it becomes a lot slower. Characters kind of bounce really through the air and kind of float for a while.
Yeah, I'm noticing ground bounces have characters bounce off in like this nice smooth parabolic arc that gives you all the time in the world to hit them.
And then on top of that, you have this other thing where some characters, like I mentioned, the kids are all beautiful Joe sized, and also the stages are huge. So when you stand at both ends of the arena facing each other, there has never been more space between two characters in any other fighting game I've ever played. Like, it feels like you took
all the characters are pretty small, actually.
It's crazy. Well, I mean, so Uvogin and some of the bigger, people are going to be there to like feel a little more tank sized and normal sized, but with the kids that have really stubby limbs, they have a couple of buttons that make them fly forward, but you really just get this feeling of like you were staring at each other from super far away. And imagine any like arena fighter running to the two walls of the arena. It feels like you're kind of that distance from each other. So there's a little bit of weirdness with the spacing going on too. And yeah, look, there's some. There's a Hunter x Hunter net impact. They said that the budget of the game that Aiding had for this, I think it was like rumored to be like $400K or $600K, something like that. They had a whole lot of resources on it, and
you can see it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so just work on the gameplay and making sure that that's fun. And it's Aiding. Aiding has made a ton of they've worked on so many amazing fighting games over the years. They know what the fuck they're doing. They're behind Bloody Roar. They worked on Street Fighter 4. They worked on Marvel. I mean, they're one of Aiding and Dimps are basically the secret developers that get called in to make some of the best fighting games, and then they kind of they go not uncredited but like secret credited. But in this is one of those cases where it just doesn't, I don't find it's grabbing me, and that sucks, because I wish, for all the lore and bullshit with me in this series, I wish there was more of a pull towards it, but there just kind of currently isn't. It also, we'll see what the full roster, maybe I'm gonna like some of those characters a bit more, but right now I'm kind of not super drawn and falling in love with any one of them in particular.
No, you have it backwards. You fall in love with the characters, and then you play the fighting game and play the character you want.
Of course, but that's my point, right? I like Uvogin. I think he's cool. I don't know about the rest. Kurapika is also pretty chill too. I like Kurapika, but in terms of like carrying my interest into the game, I'm like, I don't know, man. But the weird part is that you talked about how like games from 1998 were. If I played Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact on the PlayStation 2, I would have been going like, yo, y'all remember Nen Impact, that fucking crazy Hunter x Hunter game that came out on the PS2?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow, what a fucking weird, goofy, fun game, right? If it came out on the PS2, this energy would have been super different. But coming out alongside everything else right now, it's like, yeah, it might not be for me, man. I'm gonna learn a bit more and get a team so that I can play it when it comes around and stuff. But there's that feel, you talk about that Sonic Jump feeling, there's a little bit of that feeling going on here where it's just not hooking me in. And there's a larger problem too, I would say, aside from all of that. We are now in the space where you can play a fighting game on any controller you want, and no one can say like, oh, don't use a pad for that, or don't use a hitbox, whatever. Anything works on anything, right? Everybody, we're in a controller agnostic universe. Have fun. It's great.
Yep.
I now have to put an asterisk for this game, because if you play on, like playing Mortal Kombat on a stick, you kind of run into this issue where like pressing the supers of the two trigger buttons together, it really wanted you to do that on a controller, and that's getting weird on a stick. This is kind of the worst case of that, because the game has technically 8 buttons to use, and 7 if you count the main ones. And most fighting games are like, we'll do it all in 6, right? You're on a stick,
and then you'll do combinations.
Your hand comfortably rests on the first 6 buttons, and then that's kind of what it's always sort of been. And now this game has light, medium, heavy. It's got the Nen button, which is your shield and launcher. Then it's got assist 1 and assist 2. So that's your 6 buttons, and that's just like Marvel, right? But it adds a super button, which is a special move button, which is basically modern mode, tilts for your special moves.
Uh-huh.
And you need to use that button. You can't just do quarter circle Hadoken inputs or anything. the shortcut button is mandatory for doing special, so that requires a seventh button to be on your stick, which is weird to reach out to, much less to hit in the middle of a fast combo. And this is also really weird, but the game has auto combos where, that's become more standardized.
Sure.
But the auto combos that you do with the auto combo button are full damage, unscaled. There's no downside to just doing them instead of doing real combos type of thing. And they do 50% damage.
Oh yeah.
Just off the auto combo off a light in some cases.
Honestly, I remember you didn't have the same feeling that I did with a City of the Wolves, but like this is like very similar. Is that like when I was playing City of the Wolves on pad, I like couldn't get a button layout that I was happy with, and like it like massively brought the game down for me.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing like seven, man, that's too much. Even on the pad, that's too much.
Yeah,
that's too much.
I get used to shortcuts on the shoulders for sure. I mean, so with I didn't bring it up, but with City of the Wolves, there were a couple like, oh, this could work if you wanted to bother, but I think we're past that point. For making sure that you could press both buttons together to get your EXs out. But yeah, I think here the problem that this game has with the stick thing is just most of the time, if you wanted to press the button to do a Hadoken, you could also just do, down quarter circle forward and then punch, and it would be fine too, and you don't have to think about it. But now when you force them to use the shortcut button, it's like, oh god, your hand has to fly all over the stick now, and that's like, you don't want to make people unable to use a stick with your game. That's not a great decision.
I think that in a game genre that is so vitally defined by player input, that fucking around with like known button combinations is particularly dangerous. Like the goal for every fighting game is to like have the controls disappear for most players, just become a brain to game direct connection.
100%.
And so when you're telling me you're sitting there with your stick that you love and you have many years of practice on and going, seventh button,
and the thought,
even for like an experienced fighting game player,
and the thought process there is essentially them going, people aren't buying sticks as much as they're just playing on pads, so let's just design around the pad. But like a good design, a good control scheme will allow both to work. You want to give people the ability to play on a fucking DDR mat if they want to. That's the fun of these games too. Somebody shows up with a fucking keyboard or guitar and it actually plays well, and you're like, that's crazy, you're insane, but it actually works. And then we have to figure out this auto combo situation, because like, in the one hand, I've seen it's like it can teach you how the characters' moves string together, and that can be a useful kind of guide. And then if you can do it on your own, you can just do way more damage manually. But it is kind of funny to have a game where you're like, yeah, if you wanted to just auto combo someone twice, they're dead. So
yeah, just do it.
You can just do that. I feel
like it's been figured out, Woolie.
Yeah, there's no downside, Or if you want to like go halfway through the auto combo and then switch to a manual one, you can,
That sounds like it's been figured out. What's there to figure out?
I guess the idea is just like, is there going to be touch of deaths, which someone found some bugs where you could do like, one hit kills with Leorio. And I think what are the, if you're going to do a like drop your combo in the middle of of it and mix the person up with like a crazy left right thing, that's possible too. But right now, auto combos have never been more real, and like the only thing telling somebody, hey man, don't rely on that, is like your pride, which is like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay, I'll have pride in my win, thank you.
So they're going a weird way about this game, and these are veterans of the fucking genre. I can't tell what they're going for, but we will find out.
I think what they're going for is that Hunter x Hunter has never had a fighting game before, so they want Hunter x Hunter fans to be able to do cool stuff with the characters they like.
Has it really had nothing?
It's had nothing.
What video games?
Hunter has been crazy underrepresented in video games.
you'd think any fucking Shonen Jump franchise would just get the cash behind it to even come out with like a shitty Game Boy Advance thing, you know, like at some point. But yeah, okay, fair enough. And yeah, okay, here, sure enough, there's a ton of Hunter x Hunter video games, but they just kind of never went all in that. Jump Superstars, yeah, cameo characters there. Weird shit. We'll see how it launches, but the yeah, when we talk about the magic of a game with a lower budget, and in this case, it's like even with this budget, some of the decisions just didn't have to be what they were.
Think,
regardless, it shouldn't.
Game with a
there.
lower budget doesn't apply equally to all things, and I think game with a lower budget being paired with large rostered existing property that everyone wants to see everyone on is maybe one of the worst combinations.
Expectation for existing IP crammed into limitations as opposed to zero expectation brand new IP.
Because when I see a Hunter x Hunter fighting game, my expectation is that the fighting game part is okay and that it has every character I would want to play as.
But I don't want the misread on this to be, therefore, games with established IPs always need to be quadruple A, because I do not want that. You know?
No, I think that Hunter x Hunter should have. I think that giving it to like CyberConnect to make a goddamn Naruto All Stars or whatever the fuck those games are called. I can't even remember. What are those fucking games called?
Great Ninja Clash.
Great Ninja Clash. I think that would have been like a better use of everyone's time and money, because I look at that roster and I go, well, where's so and so? Where's Kurapika's brother?
I didn't even know that was a character.
Where's fucking where's Pito? Like fuck off. Where's Kurapika's not Kurapika, sorry. Where's Killua's whole fucking family?
Oh, the Zoldyck family. Yeah.
Like, where's the whole fucking family? Like, sorry, I got Kurapika and Killua mixed up. Where's that octopus sniper that had that really emotional part during Chimera Ant? Where's that guy?
Behind a season that is of DLC that can't come out because the performance is not going to reach that level of success.
Where's that chameleon guy who turns invisible?
All right. Well, there's a lot of like, aiding has a legacy, and like I trust them in a lot of cases, but you know, and I feel like this. We'll see how the launch goes, but like it feels like a rare miss for me at this point. But I'll make a final call once it launches. You know.
Oh wait, Moreau is not in the game? Are you serious? Is the big guy with glasses and a giant pipe not in the game?
Should I take my headphones off? It's for future shit. I'll just you let me know when it's clear.
Morel, my mistake. He is? Okay. Cool.
Okay.
God. And I can't remember anybody's fucking name in that show. That's crazy.
So that's all on Nenpicked.